Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while since I recorded a new video, but I am back, and this time we are doing a full upgrade on my computer. I wouldn't say full, everything except for my graphics card and motherboard. However, we got some awesome components. I know the last time I left you guys on this new card that I got, I'm like, I'm gonna put out all these new videos and haven't done it yet. But it is definitely coming. I definitely have some awesome content coming your way. But let's go over all these components and let you guys know what we're upgrading today. Starting out, we got the big boy Corsair RM850X power supply. Actually needed a new power supply for some reason. On my CPU, it looks like it takes two 8-pins, and I only had one coming from my original 650 watt power supply. So this time got something even better that should be able to provide enough power to my CPU. I was running into some weird crashes in system performance whenever I was playing games, so this should definitely help out a lot. And then next we have the new Platinum P41 SSD from SK Hynix. Man, this thing is going to fly. 2 terabytes is going into this system. Right now I currently have a 1 terabyte Gen 3. The next one that I'm putting in will be a Gen 4 SSD, so it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to put that in. I can't wait to see the performance gains that I get when I put it in. And for the big boy here, we have to talk about it, the Ryzen 9 5900X. Now, I actually do more than just play games on this rig. I actually go ahead and do video editing, obviously. This is the rig that I edit all the videos on my YouTube channel on. So I definitely needed something with a little bit more cores than just the 8 cores, 16 threads. And I mean, definitely gaming is something I love to do as well. So I bought that processor, 12 cores, 24 threads. I know it's not on the AM5 platform. However, for the AM4 platform, I think this is one of the better CPUs that you can get. And actually, I'm coming from a 2700X. So I'm a few generations behind when it comes to the CPU. So finally gonna get myself a little bit more up to date. Hopefully should see some big performance gains on the single thread and multi-thread performance. I'll test out a few games, maybe do a couple renders of a video or some audio and see just how well this rig does. But I'm hoping for the best. I mean, it looks like it's got a lot of good components that are going into it, and I really should be able to flex out my 6800 that I have in this system now, because it has been a while. And for those who have not seen this rig, I did buy a new case a little while back, transformed everything from that Corsair Obsidian case, which I still love that case and I still have it. Hopefully plan to get a new rig in that case. However, this has been my main case for a while now, and honestly, for what it is, airflow wise, it's not the greatest, even though this thing has 10 fans in it. But it does look real nice, and a lot of times, you know, I'm not really too much having issues, especially since I have the water cooler for my CPU. So it's not really constricted when it comes to the airflow that much. But I do like this case. Pretty good deal that I got. It does have full RGB. You can actually manually change it here at the front, and has a little strip, an RGB strip here, and obviously all the fans in here are addressable RGB as well. I'm going to do a little bit of a time lapse, and I'm going to put the new power supply, new processor, new SSD in it, and we're going to see how well it performs compared to the old rig. So stay tuned. Just to let everyone know, I forgot to mention what the name of this case is. That's actually a case from AliExpress. It's called GameKM or GameKM. So it is a mid-size tower case, and
Already comes preloaded with 10 fans. Like I said, they are addressable RGB fans. I started with taking out most of the cables from the old power supply, actually all the cables from the old power supply, and hopefully it was a pain in the butt, to be honest. Once you have so much cabled in, anyone who's built a computer, taking it apart and putting in new components like a whole power supply can definitely be a pain in the butt. But I eventually got all the old cables out and installing the new power supply. That was also a little bit of a pain in the butt just to kind of get in the case right. A little bit bigger than my old 650 watt power supply I had. And major shout out to my little kiddo there helping me out. Definitely get some screws in there, taking some screws out, helping me with the build. He's in the computers a little bit, so he was my helper for the day. As you can see, taking out actually the old processor, putting in the new processor, I had to go ahead and clean the thermal paste off of the pump head and the put some new thermal paste in. I actually ran out of thermal paste, but I had just enough to get this build done. As you can see, putting everything back together, and it came out great. I'm sure everybody wants to know what has improved, so it's time to go ahead and look into some renders, and we'll play a game just to see a little bit of how this processor helped out in my day-to-day usage. Alright, so this is Final Fantasy 15, and I'm playing at 1440p. Everything is maxed out here when it comes to the graphics. And typically, as you can see in the gameplay here, we're hovering probably around anywhere between 70, 80, sometimes we'll get in the 90s, but typically it'll hover around 70 or so. I see some drops here that are in the lower 50s. Very rarely though you see a drop, and this is a pretty, for the most part, I mean, we're going a little bit lower resolution. Typically I do play at 4K on a lot of my games, especially a game like this. I usually do play at 4K, but just because I am doing this little kind of benchmark run here, I wanted to go ahead and drop it into 1440p, and it's playing on my monitor, just to see what kind of frame rates we're getting. And so far it's honestly not bad. As you can see, it goes up into the hundreds when I'm not doing anything, if I'm just standing there. So the 2700X does work. Yeah, I mean, it definitely does work. Just look at those sitting there in them hundreds. But let's go ahead and move on to the 5900X installed. And as you can see, wow, I mean, look at the difference. I'm in the hundreds right now with some pretty intense gameplay, as you guys can see. All the craziness that's happening on screen, and we're staying in the hundreds. We are staying in the 100s. I love it. I love it. Definitely a good increase in performance. I mean, we're going from usually around 100 FPS during intense scenes. When it's not intense, we're kind of hovering between 120 FPS. So I think that this has been great. I'm very happy with the performance that I'm getting on the 5900X. It's a noticeable difference. It's not like maybe like 5-10 frames, like wow, such a big difference. This is definitely a noticeable difference. To actually play this game at a stable 100 FPS, even when the scenes are getting pretty intense, that's pretty awesome. I'm definitely enjoying being able to play this game this stable. I will say this is the only game I actually have recorded that I tested, but I've tested a few other games as well. They are running very well. I'm usually getting anywhere, even when I'm playing in 4K, I'm usually getting anywhere from 60 FPS in most of the games. There's only a couple games that do drop. For instance, for some reason, I am running that AMD card, so it looks like whenever I do play a Plague's Tale Requiem, it does drop. It doesn't stay at a stable 60 FPS. And I'm running a AMD RX 6800, and it's a pretty good card. As you guys can see here, it plays, pretty much any new game that comes out, any new game I throw at it, it runs it just fine. I don't really have any issues. But yeah, I mean, there's still a couple things, it's not the obviously most powerful GPU in the world. And when you're playing at 4K, that's what really counts. But 1440p, yeah, I can run any game 1440p, 60 FPS and up. Typically any game runs usually around 80 to 120 FPS. Just depends obviously on what kind of game it is, but something like this, as you guys can see, I'm running at a stable 100 FPS. I'm happy with it. Definitely a decent processor for gaming. However, I will say it is not the 5800X 3D, and I'm okay with that. The 5800X 3D is mainly for gaming. Like I said, I do not a lot, but I do video editing and a few other things. I'm using my computer for a ton of other stuff than just gaming. So I think going with the 5900X it was the best thing for me. And even as I'm sitting here editing the video, I mean, it's kind of breezing through all of this. So I will say I am happy with the choice that I made going with the 5900X. Okay, so let's get into audio editing. As you can see here, I am mixing down a song I'm recently working on. It's a WAV file, and just kind of going through some of the settings. By the way, new music coming out soon. Make sure you tune in, subscribe. I'm gonna be releasing some stuff. So anyways, and off to the races we go. Now this is with the 2700X that is mixing down this audio or these tracks. Now I don't have a lot in these tracks. It's not a ton of stuff when it comes to effects. I have obviously some compression, some equalization, reverb, that kind of stuff, but nothing really too crazy. Almost 25 seconds of just plain old mixing down. Now this is once again just going through some of the settings. So this is with the new 5900X. So I'm going to try to do the exact same settings as I did when I was on the 2700X, and we're going to see how much of a difference it actually makes. And once again, special thanks to the little guy for helping me out and building this machine. Someday we'll get him a desktop. We'll get him set up with a little gaming machine that he can build himself. Maybe when he's just a tad bit older. All right, ready to hit that export, and let's go off to the races. So as you can see, we're already blazing fast compared to what we were on the 2700X. And oh my gosh, within 12 seconds, ladies and gentlemen, within 12 seconds, that has fully mixed down to a WAV file. That is amazing. That is pretty much over a 3-minute song, and it went ahead and took that down in 12 seconds. So I am very impressed on what this can do. Now let's go ahead and move into the video editing portion. We are in Adobe Premiere, and I'm actually going to just render off the last video that I did, which was talking about my new graphics card. Now, nothing too crazy. I don't have a ton of layers and things like that on this video, but we'll go ahead and see exactly how long it takes. Now, I had to speed this up. Okay, I had to speed this up mainly because it just took way too long. But as you can see, just some of my memory, CPU, what's utilization, everything that's being used. Definitely the cores are being utilized, as you can see, but it's going through it. Now this is through a 2700X, okay? Still sitting here in the 2700X, and all in all, after this was all said and done, we're looking at probably about 7 minutes. I'm thinking, actually, you know what? I recorded this. It was 7 minutes and 20 seconds that it had. Now, this is over a 10-minute video. Remember, this is over a 10-minute video that I recorded. However, we did the exact same thing in the 5900X. Now, you'd be very surprised, believe it or not, I actually got the same time. I got the same time as I did with the 5900X on the 2700X, which is crazy, but actually not crazy, because I had hardware encoding on, and typically what happens is it utilizes the graphics card more than it does the CPU to encode everything. And what I was doing was encoding and exporting. It's different than actually sitting there and scrubbing through and the timeline, putting in effects and transitions and things like that. You're definitely going to notice a difference having a faster processor doing that. However, when it comes to actually doing the export, it is not the same. Felt like I was in the slums for a minute when I was rocking that 2700X. I'm like, man, it's looking spooky for me, but yeah, I'm back. I mean, the audio, as you can see, big time difference when it comes to mixing down audio. And I've noticed a difference adding effects and tracks. I could do so much more with the 5900X than I could with the 2700X. All right, so let's go ahead and move into the finished product. As you can see, just taking a little video here of what the computer looks like when it's running. Now, it looks a lot better in person, I will say. The colors of the fans are a little bit washed out. However, as you can see, clean build. Had to get a GPU bracket because my GPU was sagging big time. I was having that big time sag, which was not fun at all. But got the GPU rocking and rolling here, and I think it looks pretty clean. And yeah, I like the build. I think it's a pretty solid build, and I really like it. So I guess just moving forward, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I'm excited to make some videos. I'm excited to play some games. I'm excited to do a lot with this machine now that I'm back. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and I'll catch you guys next time.